be the act near the south entrance to the boardroom. Standing rules provide that anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda for this meeting, regardless of notice, may do so. As you come forward, please identify yourself and complete the sign-in sheet. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. You have nobody? Hearing none, I declare the opportunity for public comment closed. Our action item for today's meeting is the appointment of Jeffrey P. Gold, MD, as President of the University of Nebraska and the approval of key contractual terms. I will move approval of item 4A1. Is there a second? And that was Regent Shear. Okay. About 6 months ago, the board began a national search to find our next president who could lead the University of Nebraska into the future. We had a tall order in front of us. We needed someone who could build on our momentum and take us to even greater heights. Someone who would put 50,000 students first and who understands that faculty are the heart of our university and who could build, are the individuals who could build their relationships with policymakers, business leaders, farmers, ranchers, donors, and all Nebraskans. We have been ably assisted by Dr. Jay Lemons and his team at Academic Search, and by the 22 members of the Presidential Search Committee, chaired by Regent Claire. Thank you, Regent Claire, for your hard work on that. And after a process that has been both efficient and thoughtful, we have found the person we were looking for. As we looked at the qualities we were seeking in our next president, Dr. Gold checked every box. Over the past 30 days, after naming Dr. Gold as our priority candidate, we've hosted a series of public events across Nebraska to allow Nebraskans an opportunity to get to know Dr. Gold and to share their feedback about him. We held a total of 12 public forums across all our campuses and across greater Nebraska locations as well. In all, hundreds of Nebraskans attended these forums. I know, as I speak for my fellow regents, when I express our sincere gratitude to all those who have participated in this process. Many Nebraskans have been impressed by Dr. Gold, as we are as well. And we know that Dr. Gold wants to spend much more time with the university stakeholders to get to know them better as well, and to more importantly, listen to their ideas and to work together to bring us to an even higher level of excellence. So it is now with great excitement that I will be voting yes on Dr. Gold's appointment as our 9th president of the University of Nebraska. Regent Claire, as chair of the search committee, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you. I want to begin by thanking all those people who, quote unquote, volunteered to serve on the search committee. They put in an enormous amount of time and energy and effort, and we truly appreciate what they did in helping in this process. I want to thank my colleagues for their time spent, and particularly those that live outside the city of Lincoln that are driving back and forth. I'm looking right at my colleague, Regent Wilmot, in particular.
Thank her husband, too.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. But no, I mean, seriously, the time and energy and efforts that my colleagues put forward, but it was well worth it. It was well worth the opportunity to, and very important, it's our number one task is finding a president. So I appreciate those efforts. I want to thank the candidates who will remain nameless, but putting the time and energy into the process of filling out an application and going through the vetting process and going through the interview process. It's a huge undertaking. So I want to thank them. And finally, I want to thank Varner Hall and the staff and everybody here, because it took a huge amount of efforts led by Phil Bakken, who did an amazing job and was just Johnny on the spot and everything that we needed to have done. And so I truly appreciate it, and we're going to miss the heck out of you. You've been a tremendous resource for our entire board, and I know for your colleagues at Varner as well. Everybody's going to miss you. So great job by you, and I want to give you a. And Phil loves the attention. He loves. Just kidding. I guess, and then the final thing I want to say is congratulations to Dr. Gold. He has done amazing work at UNMC, did amazing work at UNO, and did amazing work as provost. And we're very fortunate to have those skill sets brought to be the next leader for our university. So I'm excited to work with him, excited for what he can bring to the University of Nebraska. We've seen part of it through his work as chancellor, and I'm anxious and optimistic for big things in the future. Thank you.
Anyone else? Regent Shear.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment in regards to everything that my fellow regents have already said, but I guess I just wanted to comment a little bit. There seemed to be a great abundance of folks that were being a little critical at some point in time over the length that it took for us to put this together. And I don't think the general public realized that although our previous president announced his resignation, he didn't leave till essentially January 1st. Today is April 26th. That's less than 4 months that we are vacated of a full-time president for the university system. It took us a little while to get things going in the fall, which was impacted by a couple of the 2 or 3 holidays that unfortunately didn't help things. But I also want to thank the 22 people that served on the committee and were split in the 2 different subcommittees that worked, and I thought the system worked quite well. I think everyone had the opportunity for input on the committees, and all the comments were well received. And again, to the candidates, there was a large number that put their names forward, and I think all of them were very serious in their intent. And those that we interviewed all seemed very competent and intellectually available to lead an institution like the University of Nebraska. And so I was happy with the folks that did take the time and the effort to apply for the position. But having somebody that is familiar with the university system, has served not only at the Med Center, but at UNO, has become the provost, then was promoted to the provost, and worked with all the campuses, and essentially exclusively worked a little bit in Kearney as well on their new building. And so I think there might be better people out there, but I didn't see anyone. And so I'm just very happy that we're able to continue with leadership and hope for great things to happen in the next several years. Thank you.
Thank you. I know Regent Claire had a
I want
follow-up.
to say one more thing I forgot. When I pointed out Phil and the staff of Varner and the great work they did, there was one person I want to also thank, and that's Chris Kaborik. He took over as the president on January 1, and his comments were, I love this place. I'll do anything for it. He also said, don't appoint me as as the interim president if you want me to be just a placeholder, because we're going to keep moving forward. And I think he has done amazing work in his time as the interim president. What he's done with the presidential scholarship, and what he's done with continuing to move forward on the 5-point plan. We're very, very fortunate for the great work that Chris Kaborik did in the capacity of interim president. So I wanted to publicly thank him as well.
I believe Regent O'Connor is next in the queue. And then we'll go to Regent Wilmot and Kenny and Whites.
Today, as we're taking the final step towards making Dr. Gold our next president, it's one of the days that I've, throughout my time as regent, that I felt the most optimistic about the future of the university, Dr. Gold's experience with getting research funding, fundraising, and strategic planning will end up being life-changing for thousands of students across the state of Nebraska. That, paired with his rich history of institutional knowledge, means that we will be able to move forward into the university's future without skipping a beat. So I'm very, very excited about today. I'm excited about the culmination of all of our hard work, about our new relationship with Dr. Gold, and about our university's future. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Regent Wilmot.
I also want to thank everyone that volunteered to be on our search committee, because it was a lot of paperwork, a lot of reading. Some of those applicants, had a book for us to digest. And I was amazed and happy with how many respondents that we had to our request, but especially the volunteers that gave of their time. Very much a thank you. And I want to thank all the people that have spoken out, especially outstate, but especially Western Nebraska individuals who contacted. They were very concerned about getting Dr. Gold out there so they could at least meet him. And I know that took a ton of work on Phil's behalf to get a plane lined up kind of at the last minute and get that done. And they were at least happy to know that we noticed they were there. And that's part of the voice, I guess, that I feel I have a responsibility to bring too. But just thank everyone for their hard work. And Phil, you definitely will be missed. I bet we'll be ringing your phone anyway. So, but good work that you've done, and we wish you well.
All right. I believe next up was Regent Kenny.
Well, I would agree with everything that's been said, except for one thing's been left out is there have been several other things happen through this process since January 1st, and no one's really thanked you, Rob. It's been a day-by-day grind for him because I get his phone calls, and they haven't all been kind. But Rob Schaefer, you've done an amazing job with this, and I make a motion that we double your salary again. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, well, okay, all this.
Two box lunches today. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Regent Whites.
Well, I want to follow up on Regent Wilmot because yesterday I spent some time going back through all the people that gave us feedback from having come to meetings to meet Dr. Gold and to hear more about him and to answer their questions. And it's wonderful. Now that we all have so much more time, right? It's worth going back and looking at those because they took effort to get there. They were thoughtful, and then they gave us thoughtful feedback. And we can learn some things from it too about what people don't understand about our process and how we may be able to make it a little clearer. Because people said something about, well, I don't understand why you didn't make a national search. And, it's kind of like, well, we didn't have time to stop and think through all the possible miscommunications because we couldn't talk and we were busy and we were trying to get things done. And some of these things are a part of the process that can't be talked about. But I think their questions were important questions that they asked, and also the praise and the things that they cared about tell us a lot more about future energy and future focus. And I was thrilled that we had, there were 325 responses that I saw yesterday. There may be more. I don't know, Phil. Do you have to keep filling it up after today? Well, it was wonderful to have them, and I thank you for gathering them, and I thank the committee for looking at them. And Kathy, I think you're absolutely right. People want to know, and this is very important to the whole state for every reason in every part of the state. And so I'm very proud today. I am like giddy about having this new adventure that we're about to embark on with the board and with our new president. And I'm grateful for the people like Chris and Phil and Rob and Tim, who were working so hard behind the scenes to keep this process moving forward. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I'm forever grateful for the candidates. There were many candidates, and they were some really great candidates. So I am just so, you just have to believe that we get to the right place. And I believe we got to the right place. And this is going to be such an adventure. Everybody get ready.
Very good. Regent Stark.
Thank you. I spent most of my career teaching and writing and publishing on leadership, and I've had an opportunity to work with, consult with a lot of leaders, particularly at the Med Center where I spent quite a bit of time. Dr. Gold, I think, is the right person, particularly at the right time. He has leadership skills. There's one trait that he has that I think really stands out, and research points out that this is the most important trait for leadership, and that is character. Character. Dr. Gold has a wise mind, a kind heart, and an accepting soul, and that's what we need. And we're fortunate to get him because everybody's been after him. He's had more offers, prestigious offers. So I'm very honored that he'll be able to stay and work with us for many more years. Thank you.
Would any of our student regents like to weigh in? Regent Latoro?
Yeah, I would first like to echo Regent Wilmot and Regent White's that this has certainly been a very tumultuous time, and it has needed the strength of thousands and thousands of Nebraskans across the state to really make this all possible. I can make this a little bit closer. And I also wanted to say that it's also been for all of the stress that this process has seen, it's been a very illuminating time, and it's been a time in which we've been able to practice a new form of collaboration and a new form of teamwork in building our university, and we've been able to challenge our different processes and really rethink how we approach education as an entire concept. I think that for all of the stress that we've seen, we have gained an immense amount throughout the majority of this presidential search process. And I would also like to echo thanks that this process has been incredibly, I felt like a kid in a candy shop, for lack of a better term, that there was a lot of really good candidates to pick from, and it has been an amazing opportunity being able to learn from the many people throughout Varner Hall on our search committee and the constituents throughout our state and throughout our campuses. I want to thank my colleagues, and I hope that as we continue moving forward into our next phase as a university, that we will remember this time and the growth that we've seen from it.
Thank you. Regent Molina.
Thank you. Some great comments from Regent Latoro. Regent Clare mentioned that this is one of the highest tasks that the board can undertake, the highest task, and by extension, then it's one of the most important ways that students are involved. The person who will lead this university forward amongst various changes and tumultuous times will have the impact on students first. And I'm confident that students will be in the right hands if we pick Dr. Gold and appoint Dr. Gold. And that goes for every campus, every student, all 50,000 students, including those way out in Kearney, including those in greater Nebraska, rural Nebraska, our underserved students. They'll be in good hands with this leadership, and students will have a bright future. And I think our other student regents would say the same.
Regent Petches.
Yeah, I think Regent Molina, that's exactly right. Right, Dr. Gold is someone is going to work with our chancellors, our Varner Hall team, all of our campuses, this board to make sure that students are first, and that's what this university is for. Preparing our students, making Nebraska the best place it can be. And I think, my time on this board, I've realized that this university is the most important institution for our state. And Dr. Gold is going to make sure that mission stays number one. And so I think, Regent O'Connor, you had it right. This is an exciting time. I'm very, very optimistic for the future. And I couldn't be more excited for Dr. Gold and this university.
Thank you. Regent Schultes.
I've said it before, I'll say it again, Dr. Gold's a rock star. I think we got an amazing president, and I'm so excited to see what gets done with the board and Dr. Gold moving forward, especially since this is our last meeting as this group of student regents. So we'll keep tabs on everything that's going on. But as Regent Stark mentioned as well, Dr. Gold has this incredible CV, very impressive, very accomplished, but he is just a great guy. He has such an amazing character. He is so
hardworking. He is so caring, and he will get it done. And with this board and him working together, I know we'll be on the right path. And I also know that even though he wasn't born in Nebraska, he loves Nebraska. He loves agriculture, and he is so knowledgeable about so many things. You could talk to him about anything, and he would always have something to say. So I think the state, the university is in great hands, and thank you to everyone for going through this process and getting the right guy.
Okay, any additional comments, Regent Shear?
Yeah, sorry, and then I'll shut up. The one thing I did forget to mention was Varner Hall as well, and I think Tim's right on in regards to Chris. I think sometimes a lot of people will forget that finding a new leader is the only thing that our folks have to do. They've got the regular jobs that they have to do, that they are hired to do over the last 6 months, and continue to do that and excel and still be able to run a search for a new leadership position and not necessarily miss a beat. I mean, Chris, let's face it, he did an excellent job as an interim president, but he was also being our CFO as well at the same time. Phil is supposed to be the corporate secretary and work for the board. Believe me, we all ask enough of him to fill his days up, but yet he continued to do what he needed to do. Stacia, for example, this week spent most of the week trying to refine the contract between the university and Dr. Gold. You know, had other things she still had to complete, as well as many others here in Varner Hall. And I'd like to thank as well each and every one of them, because the system didn't stop running. You just had to run a little faster. So we appreciate everything you did. Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, please call the roll.
Regent Molina.
Yes.
Regent Peckish.
Yes.
Regent Schultes.
Yes.
Regent Latoro.
Yes.
Regent Kenny. Yes. Regent O'Connor.
Yes.
Regent Schaefer.
Yes.
Regent Shear. Yes. Regent Stark.
Yes.
Regent Whites.
Yes.
Regent Wilmot.
No.
Regent Clare. Yes. The motion passes.
There being no further business, we stand adjourned. Dr. Gold will be joining us shortly in the boardroom with availability for the media as well. Thank you.